We need to talk about Mykhailo Fedorov, Ukraine's former defense minister, who is starting to look way more interested in political games and seeking attention than in Ukraine's war effort. And that wouldn't necessarily be a huge problem by itself, but now it is playing directly into the hands of Russian propaganda. Fedorov recently came out calling for Ukraine to hold elections even during the war, using democracy as his argument. But when we're talking about democracy, we should probably start with the law. Ukraine is currently under martial law. Ukraine's constitution itself extends parliament's mandate during martial law. And under Article 19 of Ukraine's martial law legislation, presidential, parliamentary and local elections cannot be held while martial law is in force. And Ukraine is hardly an exception here. Poland also prohibits elections during extraordinary measures. Germany extends parliamentary terms during a state of defense. Lithuania has a similar provision for elections during wartime. And the same is true for many other democracies. And even if we put the legal issue aside for a moment, how exactly do you organize an election in Ukraine right now? How do hundreds of thousands of soldiers vote? You know, the people actually risking their lives defending the country. How do you organize voting for millions of Ukrainians abroad? How do people near the front line vote? And perhaps, most obviously, how do you guarantee the safety of polling stations when Russia deliberately strikes Ukrainian cities and civilian targets on a regular basis? Fedorov himself acknowledged these challenges, but he simply said they need to be addressed without actually explaining how. Because talking about the problem is always easier than talking about the solution. And right now, Fedorov increasingly looks like he wants to be known as the guy who saved Ukraine rather than simply helping Ukraine win. To be even more precise, he seems to want to be the guy or nothing at all instead of simply being one of the guys. Now, I understand his frustration about being dismissed. I do. But Ukraine's interests are and always will be far more important than Fedorov's interests. Slava Ukraini!